just saying, come and enjoy. That's generosity is one thing, but that's a little overly generous. That makes me suspicious.
Maybe they're just good spirited folks. You'll just be surprised that there's a wide breadth and depth of people of creation, interesting cultures. Well, maybe oddity to you, maybe normal place to another.
Yes, but I think I'd rather be cautious and wrong than trusting and made a slave.
While you are correct, each culture chooses to express themselves in a slightly different manner. There is a universal language of feeling, and every town shares similar feelings. When when an entire city lacks a feeling, that is more than enough cause for pause.
Well, then we'll stick to the ship and as hosts, we should be able to sway our fellows away from any danger.
I
Hey,
certainly hope so.
Do all of my retinue come back?
Yes. Everyone is accounted for. Nobody is missing.
Well, if your men are accounted for, should we proceed? We wouldn't want to keep our most honored guest waiting.
Etzer will sort of turn aside and bow and put his hand out. After you, after all, this is your night.
All right. Shisher backs away from the railing and takes the form that was illustrated earlier on the boat. And he'll take his time to make his way just far enough to where he can grab a rope that would descend onto... Wait, we're not near the boat anymore, are we?
Yeah, we're
The stage is integrated into the boat. Like the stage itself is the coiling serpent that both forms the gangplank such that the crowd can come up and aboard the boat, and also sort of snakes around to create the stage and coils up and around to become the snake head at the head, where the throne, for lack of a better term, is built and set such that the honoured party can sit and take view of your performance.
Got it. All right, so instead of immediately taking the outfit's shape, just a formal black and silver attire with tiny accents of gold will adorn Cheshire. He makes his way up into the lookout's nest. He finds his way to a rope, and he just fastens it to the nest for the beginning of his performance. He addresses, looks down upon all the welcomed guests aboard the Flirtatious Muse, and raises his voice high so that they can hear him over the roar. Welcome, welcome, each and every one. I do hope you know what you're in for. Today, we have a very special performance for all of you, a tribute to your past, to your accomplishments, to your city that I know that you are certainly proud of. But I won't hold you on for too long, and I'm not usually one for words. I prefer to let my body do the talking. And as he says that, he grabs a hold of the rope that he'd fastened earlier and hooks his foot into the bottom of it and descends onto the center of the stage. Once he's landed, he'll look across the crowd, makes sweeping hand motions, brings his hands in together, and then whenever he brings them out in a display, the shape of the outfit starts at his chest and flows outward. And the coins that would form the armor, kind of like the Mystique effect from the X-Men movie, they just kind of fold over and form as it extends outward. So, for the beginning, the snake that encircles him that he's dancing on, it starts to have a coloration. It was made from wood and it was finely crafted, but it wasn't well decorated. Now it seems to form accents and jewelry that would be respectful toward the display of its coat of arms. And the snake that he's standing on comes alive. It circles around him as he dances. It forms behind his head, and the kite shield comes up from behind the stage to nestle perfectly within the serpent's coils. And with that, he's going to do a double instill action without Thousand Corzon Ways. First is going to be respect for the crew of or respect for our party, since we all contributed to this. And the second will be infatuation toward Cheshire himself.
Okay. Ordinarily, a character would take a -2 to 3 penalty for playing to a crowd, but in this particular case, because he's supplementing it with performance charms, Cheshire takes no such penalty. So he can roll charisma performance.
Darn,
Again,
I really need to work on that appearance performance.
Charisma performance against the group in front of him, which will be, they have no particular intimacies, either inuring them to, as in inuring them to liking you more because of the display, nor acting against your interests.
Okay. What's the average resolve?
2.
Okay. Sorry, it cut in and out.
2.
Nice. Stunt die?
I'll give you a 1 point for now.
And I'm going to use the same 2 charms that I used earlier, which are Masterful Performance and Phantom Conjuring Performance.
Assuming you're sticking personal essence?
It's only 2 motes, so it'll be coming out of peripheral.
Okay.
So that is 8 successes.
That certainly beats their resolve, and no one is particularly interested in spending willpower. So everyone is inflicted with 2 intimacies. First, a respect towards the performers and the entire crew of the ship. The second, a a more specific infatuation towards Cheshire himself. Are you going to feed on these emotions?
Not yet. A fine cook doesn't eat a undercooked chicken. So with these newfound emotions and having finished the performance with the snake behind his back, he rushes out to the crowd and starts to dance between them. As he exits off the top of the stage, the serpent icon, its mouth opens wide, and from it pours silver coins that chink and cling as they hit the stage. And as they roll forward off of the stage, they form into smaller snakes of pure silver that go up and become like small accessories for the crowd. It's not in an aggressive manner, it's welcome to the show. Here is your token of here's a token of my appreciation. And a specifically gold snake rolls off the center, and it curls and goes toward the patron of the city, and it goes around his wrist. This is going to be a double instill action again, and it's going to work with the respect that they have towards the crew, and it's going to boost the infatuation for me to major. If that is all right.
This will mean that the average resolve is now 1.
All right. Same pool.
Yes.
And this time I'm going to use graceful reed dancing as well. So that's another 3 motes. And since it's a separate tick, it will not cause me to glow or my forehead to glow.
For the sake of the imagining of the people watching, these rolls are roughly 5 to 10 minutes each other as he conducts himself through the dances. Etza, with the patella, and you like to react in any particular way to help maybe encourage the crowd, as was planned?
Yeah, I'd have them planted throughout the crowd in strategic ways to sort of be a little more enthusiastic and kind of encourage people to get in the spirit. I would be camped out near the throne that was built for the king of the city. And then I would try and do something rather overly flourishing with my handkerchief or something like that, using my goblet to try and catch some of the torchlight to draw his attention towards me. Which may be hard to do with how good Cheshire is as a dancer.
Would Ash be taking up anywhere in particular?
Ash will single out a lady of interest to him that he thinks will be open to romantic pursuit. Sit down next to her, offer her the Serpent's breath drink concoction, and start regaling her with poems that he's written, talking about how stories of sea and temptation, and that would be basically it. Just trying to sort of have a romantic distraction, basically.
This is quite a stunning drink.
You should get to know its creator.
Is he as dashing and vivacious?
And much more.
So that is 13 successes.
Goss now is quite literally on the edge of his seat. He sits forward, watching the display and marveling at the gold bracelet he now is wearing. Cheshi doesn't sense any emotional resistance from anyone in the crowd. They're more than happy to sort of go along and be swept up by these feelings. And Goss himself seems particularly interested in Cheshire. Everyone here is infatuated, of course, but he's in a position of power. And so he wields that affection more commandingly. It doesn't have the presence of someone like Amber Glow, certainly, nor even Cheshire himself. But there is a broadness to his presence. That confidence that he has wafts off him in waves. Almost see images of him picturing himself.
Nice.
So no one has resisted, and everyone's intimacies are now increased to the major level.
Fantastic. Was that was just the infatuation up to major?
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So now for the crescendo, the final act. After Cheshire has played to the crowd, it's time to set his sights on the primary target. The snake stops with dispensing the coins and rises up with the shield behind him. And this thing is massive, like huge. And its eyes look directly into the patron. Cheshire makes his way up to the stairs, passing both Captain Ash and Etzer, grabbing each one and pulling them with him into his spins to present all of them in front of our honored guest. As he does so, even their clothes start to shine and shimmer, and they gain the grace, the silver scales of the serpent, decorated with gold or jade accents as appropriate. As they finally land in front of the patron, he motions for both of them to take a bow, and Cheshire himself walks toward him confidently, swaying to the music that jingles from the snake's accessories, to fluff his hand circled and down into a graceful bow and says, "For you." And this "for you" resonates from the snake to the crowd and echoes up to the patron. This is a double instill action as well. Using the newly made major infatuation with me, I'm going to boost the respect toward the crew, and then I'm going to boost it again to try to get it up to defining, if this is allowable.
Not in the same instant.
Okay. Then, if that cannot work, it'll be an inspiration playing off of the respect towards the crew for exhilaration, excitement. So it is instill
Okay.
to boost respect to major, and then inspire playing off of the intimacy for infatuation toward me for excitement. Arousal. Same dice pool?
Yes. And 1 point stun.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to use the same 3 charms. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of it.
As Ash has been spun away more directly in front of the Baron, his muse has been spun along with him and sort of giggling and chortling, still sipping at the drink. Somehow in Cheshire's whirling has managed to keep it balanced such that she doesn't spill any. And as Ash is kneeling in front of the Baron on one knee, she is seated on that knee, leaning back against him, having the time of her life. Etta, did you want to take advantage of your in any particular?
Yes. I'm going to activate Mastery of Small Manners. So it prevents me from creating any social faux pas as I'm about ready to address the Baron. And if he has any sort of positive intimacies towards the city-state that he rules, he gains a minor intimacy towards me.
And if he has a negative intimacy towards outsiders, increased by 1.
All right, ready for successes? Does Captain Ash want to do anything?
No, he's happy just being in the background, the scenery at the moment. This is your and Etcha's show. I'm just the roadie.
Sorry.
No, it's good, dude. It's good.
Well, successes are 11.
Once more, there's no more emotional resistance. He's utterly enthralled by what is going on. Cheshire has his absolute attention, and you even see him, you feel him notice the woman being included in the performance and the production, and that in and of itself seems to swell his own pride, as if somehow that was directly a compliment. So that's infatuation with Cheshire and respect for the crew, both at major now.
Fantastic. As Cheshire lifts...
Is there any more phases to this performance?
No, there was only 3. I didn't feel any more than that would be appropriate.
After a long pause, people here have been so captivated by the performance they had not even realized it was over. And they just stare up at you, agape. After a time, it seems to dawn on Goss himself. He starts the round of applause, standing from his throne as the crowd picks it up and cycles through them. This roar of adulation erupting up around you. Even the highly boisterous nature of Patella itself pales in comparison to the standing ovation being poured upon you. The sounds resonating in your chest and the red mist of infatuation surrounding you, the images of people's thoughts and feelings filling you up, their dreams becoming alive in and around Cheshire, knowing he's the only one to see, yet somehow communally you know those moments where you know what someone is thinking and they know you know what they're thinking.
Yes.
And that connection is shared on a much grander scale here. This has been a very artful and yet lascivious performance. Everyone here is vivified by the thought and notion of it, and it hangs heavy in the air. But only Cheshire can actually see it. He can smell it. He can taste it. It's everywhere.
So, with that, while he bows, Cheshire's eyes go alight, and that's when he chooses to feast upon the infatuation that's heavy in the air. Sorry if you're saying something I can't hear you. I think I may have a bad connection.
No, I haven't said anything yet. I was buffering.
Your cam
Sorry
froze
about that.
well, so it looked like you were like actually buffering. That's why it amused me.
As Cheshire breathes deep and just draws in all that ambient infatuation, just heavy everywhere in the air. That warm scent of fresh hay that always accompanied Amber Glow. So is my sound coming through really bad?
It's sounding a bit robotic to me. I don't know if it's coming through for the others.
It was about every other 2 seconds for me. I heard the smells like honey or hay, like amber glow.
Fresh hay. It's a warm and comforting scent. It's restful. It almost sedates you with its embrace. Ash and Etza can feel Cheshire almost shuddering with the meal that he's partaking into himself. You've seen this before. You've seen him consume visions like this. He seems to draw strength from it, and yet there's another side to it. Another side that Etzer is familiar with. He's seen it in some of his friends in the Patella before he saved them from vagrancy. That is the shake of an addict getting another hit. The only air of infatuation that Cheshire is unable to consume in this moment is coming from the Baron himself. While the rest of the crowd certainly still have the strength of that feeling of respect for the crew, and they remember feeling infatuated, it was in this moment, now that he has devoured the sensation, muted. It's a memory. It's a passing fancy. Not so the Baron. Not so at all. As the applause dies down, there is a cry for an encore.
Do either of you have anything to say or want me to continue?
Etzer kind of looks at you and gives you an encouraging nod and sort of raises his hands up to the crowd to get them excited and start cheering and clapping. And amidst all the din of that noise, he will sort of lean as close to Goss as is appropriate and sort of say loud enough just for him to hear the words. You know, Cheshire and I are deep, close friends. If you wanted, I could happily arrange a meeting for the two of you after the show has been concluded.
Manipulation presence, please.
Love it.
While that's happening, Ash gets the feeling that Cheshire might need some space, so he respectfully bows his head before sweeping up his new acquaintance in his arms, and will take one of the rigging ropes and swing to a more isolated but higher up perch to get a good view of the show.
Who are you kidnapping?
No, I'm just clearing the stage. My obviously, if the acquaintance isn't keen on the idea, I'll just gently return her to a seat.
Oh, she's keen.
5 successes.
Without taking his eyes off Cheshire, Goss places a single hand upon Etz's lapel. Make it so.
With a due discretion.
He just nods. And then sits back in his seat, sort of crossing one leg over the other, and playing with his fine moustache. Watching Cheshire intently. The acquaintance of Ash, as I mentioned, is quite keen to be swept up and away. She's left giggling and sort of kicking in delight. He sort of sweeps her up into a higher vantage point to watch the final encore. Leaning into him, still sipping at his drink, somehow still not spilled after all of this emotion and kerfuffle. Leaving the stage area open for Cheshire to finish.
All right. Seeing his companions move, Cheshire gracefully raises up, nice and tall, the lean and graceful figure of a dancer. He is the embodiment of it. The giant snake above the stage had bowed with them in front of the Baron. So now Cheshire goes to the railing over the crowd. He gets onto the railing and he jumps. Crowd surf. He does a spin in the air and he outstretches his arms, hoping that he's not landing on an elder gentleman.
No. The crowd oblige, raising their hands, and it's like resting on top of a wave, being supported from every space on his back. His legs and arms held aloft by dozens of different hands, waving him through the crowd.
As Cheshire manages to get his feet back to the stage, he takes center. The shield and snake head behind him raise up, and as if they're in a ready position, Cheshire's arms raise above his head, and he starts clapping in a beat. And as he claps, the accessories on the snake start to jingle. He's setting the final encore. We're going to do a flash mob. He goes into basic dance motions, moving from right, left, left, right, left, left. And this is a persuade action using the respect for the crew to have the crowd dance along with him. And if our patron chooses to join in, that would be wonderful. If it's not below his station to dance. So just a persuade action.
Mm. I won't get you to roll for this one, unless there's some mechanical benefit for you to do so.
Not really. Well, it would. If I don't use charms, it would allow me to get some essence back if it's successful, but that's it.
Okay, make a roll then. No one's going to assume that it's successful. If you don't have to activate charms, then your ability to regain motes, I'm not actually sure how that works, but
Stillness
is
drawing
that a charm
meditation.
itself? Or?
Yeah, it's a charm. Permanent. Anytime I successfully complete a performance-based roll, I regain essence motes.
Oh, okay. One mote.
Yes. And without any extra charms, I got 9 successes.
The crowd danced as he bade. The Baron himself doesn't, but you can see him rocking in his chair to the timed beat, sort of lightly kicking one leg, like he was tapping his foot to the rhythm. The crowd love it. They're completely won over. You could probably ask them to do just about anything right now, and they'd throw themselves to the mercy of your performance.
That's all well and good, but this is a time of celebration, even if it has alternative motives. Cheshire's lost himself in the dance. He has forgotten why he's dancing. He's forgotten the other individuals that he has interacted with, and all that matters is the movement of the people and the feeling of another hit. Captain? Edser?
Splendid performance, Cheshire.
Lucky.
Yes. As this was going on, the captain is taking advantage of the distraction Cheshire has provided to pen out a little poem, which he has left in the form of a flower beside the his newfound acquaintance, romantic pursuit, and has disappeared off, leaving her with that. Do you want me to make a roll, read out the poem? It's a bit rough, so I only just penned it myself. Probably not reflective of Ash's ability.
If you say it loud enough, it'll be written in the sky.
I will not be saying it loud enough. It's on a origami flower.
Is Ash attempting to achieve anything in particular with this?
I think I'm not very familiar with the social system, but I'd hope to do is it in a still action where you create minor intimacy.
Yep.
And I'd be looking to create a sort of minor romantic, either curiosity or intrigue, but just the sort of temptation of adventure, maybe.
All right. What is Ash's linguistics?
My linguistics is 3, but I have a speciality in poetry. And my
That's okay. Your linguistics, however, is 3.
yeah, my linguistics is 3.
Okay,
Would you like to hear the stunt?
I would.
Gliding on notes of a silvery breeze, gazes blended by stars' brilliance, heart's voyage carried on summer winds, notes of its beats, a song of adventure. Distance fades, for we are only a step away. The dance will be laid ahead on the sand. Time turns, we will meet again.
Oh, it just penned it out. It's not that good.
Oh, sorry.
Look at this rubbish I just threw together.
Well, you know, there was a lot going on. There was like a crowd screaming. You know, it's not like Craftman blames his environment, right?
Cheshire, have we still got your audio? Guessing that's a no.
Nope.
Not a good sign.
I'm wondering if what the website we're using for the video feed is maybe causing some of the connection problems.
I'm wondering if we need to find some other way to conference, yeah.
Yeah, that's something we're looking into, folks. I mean, I don't know if the weather's been affecting. Oh, Zix is activating. You there?
Yeah, sorry. I think my internet service provider dropped.
No worries. Oh god, the Fae are doing the rounds, folks. They want to stop our stream. Don't let them win. Don't let the Fae win. That's the motto.
It's because they're the villains in the history. Have we got you back for good, Zix?
Yeah, as long as I can predict.
All right, cool. Might just be the website that's playing up then.
No, my entire internet fell off.
I might give it a refresh, folks, so we can try and get the video. I've lost Elk's video as well, so let me just reload the page. Bear with us. There we go. Let's get my cam back. Every time I go into this, folks, I have to like rearrange the windows, as you probably can see me doing, which is I'm getting quite good at it. Like eyeballing it. Culture Shock, your cam's gone. Are you still there, buddy?
Can you not see me?
No.
No.
Wow, the gremlins are really out in force today. It's like, you know when you're juggling plates? I feel like when I get like 3 of them spinning, there's another one, it's like just teetering on the edge of falling off.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, it's coming.
I think I have to refresh the page, so I'll be right back. Or not?
No, I think it's coming in. Culture Shock. You can do it, buddy. Believe in you. Thank you for bearing with us, folks. Hope you've been enjoying it. It's been quite the... Yes! Team has assembled.
The power of refreshing the page.
Did you want to roll for that, or do you just want to keep it as like fluff, as it's probably not too important?
Oh, intimacies are very important.
The reason I asked what your linguistics was is that when you are attempting to pin someone via text, you use your linguistics score in place of your appearance score.
Oh.
So when you roll your manipulation plus presence to socially influence her through your text, you will gain 1 non-charm bonus dice because your linguistic score is 1 higher than her resolve.
Ah. Is that including the
Plus, I will be giving you a 2-point star.
Nice. Is it? Sorry, was that including my speciality in poetry for linguistics? So that would put it up to 4, I think. Or is that not applicable?
You're not actually rolling your linguistics. You're not rolling your linguistics, so the specialty doesn't apply.
Okay. Cool. Is it? Did you say
So
manipulation or charisma?
you'll roll linguistics later.
Or is it? Sorry, what was the role? Manipulation.
Are you being emphatic or are you being manipulative?
I'm being very genuine in this. It's part of his.
Are you being emphatic?
What does emphatic mean? Sorry.
Genuine, like raw, truthful, heart on sleeve, emphatic.
Pretty much. This is
Is how I say it. Anyway, so yes, charisma then.
Yeah. He generally while he has while he enjoys the sort of dance of romance, so he's very genuine in that. His heart does belong to the sea, so it's kind of it depends on your interpretation of it, really. But he's definitely genuine in his enjoyment of the dance of romance, and this is his way of expressing it.
So that's 2 points done, which is 2 dice, 1 success, 1 extra dice because of the difference between your linguistics and resolve, plus your charisma, plus your presence.
Presence. So that was one. Was that 1 extra dice and an automatic success, or just one automatic success? Or 2 point. Sorry.
2 extra die.
2 points done gives you 2 dice
Mm-hmm.
and 1 automatic success.
Oh, fantastic! Nice. Yes. I'm going to also throw some motes in there with an ecclesia. Are using the presence, I guess. It's the presence. Cool.
Yep.
So,
Do you have a charm presence or is it favoured?
yeah, it's favoured. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's favoured.
Right.
Do. Wow, that's only 3 successes.
That's enough.
Whew. There's like 4 ones there, folks. That was almost Botch City. Almost Botch City.
So, cycling back a little bit, just before the technical difficulties, just to quickly recap, the performance is over. The crowd is thoroughly infatuated, although that has been dampened such that it's a memory of infatuation rather than infatuation itself. And full of trust for the crew of the flirtatious muse, the captain himself left a suitor sort of up in the rigging with a delightful poem that has piqued her romantic interest. The Lord Baron Goss has accepted an arrangement proposed by Etza to meet with Cheshire in person later, privately. Once the performance is over and the crowd finally relax into the notion of it being over and not continuing, the whole event has taken maybe an hour or 2. They start to slowly disperse, everyone talking up the event, the biggest thing that's happened in this city in a long, long time. All very happy, all very sort of chattering away and sort of excited about what kind of other things that the flirtatious muse might bring to the city. So this is a nice... Anyone with an ear to the ground can hear them saying that it's been a nice distraction from the troubles that have been brewing. Cheshire, Ash, and Etza sort of meet up in the cabin afterwards, one is gone, to debrief themselves. Saren is there as well, sort of just standing in the background, keeping her ear near the door in case anyone comes with news or messages to relay to the captain.
Cheshire's panting. There's visible sweat dripping off of him. The concentration on the outfit is starting to waver a little bit. so it doesn't look as solid as it did before. So it's kind of melty a little bit. Well, that went better than expected.
Etzer comes up to Cheshire and starts sort of dabbing at his body with a small towel, sort of mopping up little bits of sweat on his chest and shoulders. He's like, "Yes, but now is not the time to relax. Don't let yourself grow tired, for you are quite not done yet this evening."
Cheshire's bent over, hands on his knees, stands up after another deep breath and just looks at Etzer and says, "What?"
You were, in fact, so successful. The Lord Baron Goss himself would like to pay his respects to you later this evening.
Respects. Cheshire just kind of holds on to that word for a second, looking you really deep in the eye. Respects. You sure about that?
There are many ways that appreciation can be shown and expressed.
I see.
And it is always good to have powerful friends.
True.
Or talented ones.
Out of character, I'm just imagining Moulin Rouge.
Tighter, I say. Tighter. No.
So, Captain, I didn't fail to notice your sweeping motions.
Well, I feel the artist needs the floor, and each artist needs his own space to work. You have your ways of expressing yourself, I have mine.
Absolutely. I can respect the subtleties that you employ. They're in some ways very much more intimate and delicate than I prefer.
Each has their own road to travel. Doesn't mean they can't reach the same destination.
All right. So Cheshire turns back to Etzer and says, "So, was there a time? Do I need to change my attire?" Looks down at himself, seeing bits of it starting to flake off and bubble.
First, I think you are owed a very well-deserved bath.
Cheshire kind of wishes there was a bathhouse to go to, but he'll settle for the ship's quarters. Would you say, I know there's no such thing as plumbing, but would you say there's a shower room?
Give me a second, and I will create something. So what I'm going to do is, now that the Serpent has like holes in it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get like water and create a curtain around the central bit of the Serpent and pour water down the hollowed out inside of it, and it will make a shower for privacy for Cheshire to use. And as an extra touch, he'll whip up what's equivalent of a little bit of a bath bomb using perils and food stuff that he has on hand.
I can appreciate this. I'm showering it. I'm in a snake shower. This is amazing. So yeah, he just...
We'll give you 2 silver for that one, Plucky.
Excellent. Do you want me to craft roll it? I can do that quickly, or...
No, just for minor things like this, I don't necessarily want to slow it.
No, I mean I don't want to mind.
Or for the things that aren't necessarily plot relevant, I'd just be awarding you an amount of silver expense.
I mean, like, I don't expect that silver, so, I mean, I like to do kind of things because I feel this is my character, so if you feel like, don't feel like obliged to put silver out for, like, everything, because I'm going to be doing it a lot, and it's just, like, little touches to give it sort of a theme, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
So as Cheshire walks toward the curtain, just the clothes start to shed and peel off. Till right before he rips the curtain open, he's just stark naked and then draws it shut. Showers, gets all cleaned up, looks for some animal fat that hopefully was there, and gets out, pulls the curtain back, and he's redressed in a different outfit. And he's going to search out Etzer's designer. The name escapes me.
Ermine Love.
Dear Ermine, I must request your services again.
Oh, to what do I owe the great pleasure? Cheshire.
Well, it seems that it seems that our Sir Etzer here has managed to procure me an audience with Lord Baron Goss. So I'm looking for an appropriate attire for such a meeting.
Of course. And she again starts rummaging through the trunks, pulling out bits and pieces, and has a few different outfit ideas in mind. One of them very sort of sheer, showing a lot of skin. It's like, is this a private rendezvous or a formal affair? Or is a different outfit over top of her to sort of show the more regal, noblesque sort of attire?
I'll start with the formal wear, and if it leads into other things, I can take care of that myself.
So, playing up again?
Sorry? I'm going for more of a formal attire.
Is my audio playing up again?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Something eating up your upload or anything? Or is it this website, do you think?
I don't know. It's been about another hour and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's been right. It's about, yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, cool. I'll do another short break now,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll continue running.
Fantastic.
I'll try and sort out my technical issues, and everyone just take a quick break, but think about plans for the evening and what you want to actually do. And we'll try and hit the nail on the head when I get back and sort of get through as much as we can.
Awesome.
So,
Perfect.
We're now officially in overtime.
So just a heads up, my plan is to escort Cheshire to the Baron's domicile, and once there to sort of sneak off and sort of infiltrate it. I'm not really out to steal or mess with anything, but there is something weird and strange about this city that has got Etzer very curious, and he wants to try to figure out what the hell's going on.
Gotcha. So question that occurred to me. where is that chalice?
I know we have not really gone over this, but Etzer would have absolutely given that back to you.
Okay. This like entire time, just I've been oblivious to it. And I was like, oh wait, we're serving dinner. There are cups. What are cups? Why is this important? Chalice!
You know what? It's probably like being put in your storage locker in the bed of your ship's bunk, and you just haven't like opened it to see it's been returned there.
I was more expecting it because you scoped out the boat and you found those stowaway places. You just put it in one of those.
The way Etzer sees it is he's not entirely sure what your relationship with the Amber Glow was, but he does see that as like your inheritance. He feels that whatever has happened, you are owed that chalice.
Yay!
Does anybody kind of know what's going on with Amber Glow? I don't think we do. Could we hold audio for like 5 seconds while I do the recording thing? Yep, that should be good. So, I don't think it's a great idea to like, if you're really concerned about this place, would it make sense for me to accompany you on this adventure?
The only reason that he hasn't suggested that Captain Ash comes is that he's not sure how Ash will react to essentially him pimping Cheshire out almost.
Well, that's not essentially what you're doing. You're just taking advantage of a distraction, right? It's like, you know.
Well, okay, pimp may be a hard word, but he is definitely facilitating some sort of hookup, and for his own purposes.
Right, that is true.
How long can I keep him occupied? Hours.
Well, I mean, Captain Ash is pretty happy to either sort of let, because I know that you tend to favour being a bit more shadowy, and Ash tends to be a bit more disregard others around him, and like kind of does what he likes to do. So I don't want to like destroy your subterfuge, but
Well, yeah. I was going to move about with like things like easily over like presence methods. So
that's cool.
I am trying to fly a little under the radar. However, you would make potentially good distraction.
Great.
I'm going to be right back.
Well, folks, it is Captain Ash, only good for distractions, and technical radio support, or will he have a part to play in the next unfurling of the adventure? Find out soon!
So I'm glad that Ash is getting a lot of mileage out of that carpentry.
Yeah, definitely, and the cooking. I think it's, I'm a bit worried about... I couldn't really hear Elkfash's response, but I don't want it to be... It's kind of what I see his character doing, especially with the food, like, you know, creating small meals and, like, drinks as, like, hospitality thing. So, he's going to do it a lot, I just don't want it to be seen as, like...
Power grabbing.
Yeah, because, I mean... I don't know, I'm not familiar enough with the crafts that are meant to be flavour there, but I much more rather it for, like, setting the flavour of the scene more than anything else, if that makes sense.
It does, but from what I can tell, we have to remember one thing. Craft is a system that's designed to be played in the background more often than in the foreground in whatever RPG the craft exists in. Mm-hmm. When it's brought to the foreground, the normal activities that you'd be doing, setting tables, making small works of art, and then major projects such as the stage, all of those things would have to build into your XP. So anytime you use it in-game, it would go into your silver XP pool.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Because the standard crafter in another RPG, if they're playing it on stage, is they're making spoons all day. Spoon after spoon after spoon in order to get more XP. And then, oh look, I'm done fashioning these spoons. Let's melt them down and make something better. And that's when you get further into the craft charms and you get into superior projects and then legendary. Which at that point you can make artifacts and things with the right skills.
Definitely. I mean, none of us have spent our experience yet, folks. So we're kind of like, I've been looking at the craft charms. It's like, I'm enjoying doing craft. Do I go down the dark path of crafting, or do I diversify? I feel like it'd be good to get some of the linguistic skills up and running. So there's a lot of choices. I think quite enjoying how Captain Ash is unfurling on stage. Sorry, Elk. Previously, with your audio, are you back now? I see your camera popped up.
I'm hoping our audio's better now.
Yeah, I think so. I can hear you at least.
Okay, cool.
I didn't get what you said about the.
I'm gonna say 6 when you would.
One, two, bug one, shoot.
Can you hear me?
You're right, Elk.
Keep. Keep going, Bucky. Sorry.
Okay,
You didn't hear what I said.
I didn't hear
regarding something
about the shower XP and stuff. Did you award points for that or not? I didn't hear what you said in response to what I said because of the audio issues. Sorry to.
I gave you 2.
2, fantastic. Boom.
2 silver.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Zix, when you were doing the performance, with the serpent and all that sort of stuff, all I could think of the rust in me from the Jungle Book. Oh God.
I mean, that's pretty much what was happening, right?
Please, someone gets that reference.
Yeah.
No,
like,
I've seen the Jungle Book. Just I don't remember the song.
It's a snake when he's like hypnotizing. It's like trust in me, with his little eyes.
And then he
If only I'd made that a trust tie instead of a respect tie, it would have been perfect.
Well, you know, next time, buddy. You gotta spot those memes and like motifs and get on the action.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get 3-point dice stunts. Playing to Elk's childhood videos. Maybe, I don't know. Oh dear.
Childhood. It was so long ago.
Well, I mean, I'm managing 2-point stunts like once a scene, so I think I'm doing well.
Yeah, doing very well. I think we've been very good with the descriptions and stuff, which is good. I think it adds a lot of flavour and it's... I mean, we get our dice rewards from it, so I think it helps to weave a good story.
Working as intended.
Yeah, that's a major reason why I got Phantom Conjuring Performance. A, it's supernal, which means I can make an entire environment. I can make giant creatures, and they look really robust and real. It's so good. But mechanically, it does nothing. It is all stunt fodder, and then whatever the GM decides would be appropriate to award.
I feel 8 experience is worth becoming a human special effects studio.
Yeah. I love that charm.
If I had that charm in real life, it would just be me walking down the street with explosions in my wake everywhere.
You'd have your own...
But you'd have to dance. It's performance-based.
Get your own theme tune going. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Literally have your own theme song playing at all times.
So I think while you were gone out, we just...
This edition, there was an expansion that came off.
You okay?
In second edition, there was an expansion charm that came off that. Oh, God, you keep talking over the top of me.
I think we're getting a bit of delay with
I
the
think
audio.
we've got like a half-second or so delay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In second edition, there was an expansion charm or phantom wandering method that was, for lack of a better term, ancient Egyptian laser beams. You would do your phantom wandering thing, and you could like blast creatures of darkness with your performance, with strobing lights and whatever you could come up with, really.
I'll have to check that charm out, see if it can
Anyway.
be converted.
So what was...
It was originally a abyssal charm that had a solar mirror. So you'd find it in the abyssal core book in second edition.
Cool.
So while you were away out...
So anyway,
I think we decided that Etzer and Cheshire were going to go in to make the visit to the Lord, and they decided to leave the, I guess, the captain behind, because I think I'd be a hindrance to their proceedings, so I am going to instead party with my crew and take advantage of all the like leftover food and booze and stuff and have a good time. Maybe get to know some of the flotilla corps. I presume they're not going with.
Was it we explicitly said you couldn't come, or we were going to ask you how you felt about it?
I don't know. I mean, obviously we can do it. Oh gosh, do it in game. But I think that was the general plan. I mean, I'm happy to have the conversation, but I got the feeling.
I have no problem with you coming, but once there, I am going to probably peel away from you.
Yeah, that's the impression. So just be me just standing out there like, so.
I got you, Captain. I got you.
Honestly, as we're going, if there's still leftover food and drink, I would encourage Captain Ash to kind of take some of the men and flow out with the leaving revelers and try and sort of make it a wandering party through the streets and just kind of hand out free leftover drinks to people and kind of play off their newly minted intimacies to make some friends or contacts, possibly try and find who has goods that you might be able to help ship out and make some deals as well.
Yeah, that could work.
I was thinking that you could be my personal chef. Introduce you to the Baron's own staff. Work alongside him. Make sure my food doesn't get poisoned.
I could
Okay.
do that. Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to be poison tasteless chef.
That is not a bad idea, especially because Etzer's weirded out about possibly their food.
Yeah, okay, I will go along as a personal chef, probably valet, whatever convenient role. I mean, I'm already being a bounty hunter, why not? You know? Ash has many hats, 4 of them.
You're just so
he
handy.
only knows about one.
That's true. But Plucky knows about them all. Is everybody ready?
I'm ready. I'm just looking at the list.
Oh, by the way, Elkavash.
Yeah.
What about the chalice?
Oh, yeah. You hadn't forgotten about that, had you?
Not at all. If it functions as some kind of purity filter, that'd be fantastic. But maybe it does other things I'm not aware of.
You would need to investigate it to find out.
Okay. Cheshire would have to return to his quarters and check his bunk and his foot chest to find the cup that Etzer had returned to him some time ago, and is going to inspect it. Let's see. He's looking at the markings around it. He'd seen Amber Glow handle it before, but not sure if he recalls any special properties it may have held.
If it did, Amber certainly hadn't shown it to you. As you turn the chalice around in your hands, now remember this is a fairly hefty chalice. It's quite large, about the size of a two-handed. Like you could put two hands over its stem and still have a bit of room to move. The bell is quite large. As you turn it over in your hands, it certainly just seems like a really big gold jewel-encrusted cup. But there's a certain familiarity about it that clutch you occasionally feel in your heart when you think of Amber Glow. That same is present here when you're handling the chalice cup.
Cheshire takes the cup. He goes and he goes to the where the barrels of liquids would be stored that Captain would be transporting, and just pours a little of it into the cup, swishes it around like a fine wine, looking at how it swirls. Mind you, it's less of a this motion and more of a two-handed swish motion.
As you pour the wine, because that's what's sticking the barrel into the cup, it pours in, and you can watch inside the bell as the liquid hits the side just to swirl a little. But no matter how much you pour, the cup never fills.
Oh dear. I'm going to have to pay Captain back for this. Okay. It never fills, but does it completely empty?
So if you stop pouring,
Right.
the cup will appear as if empty. But the bottle that you have has clearly emptied into the cup.
Cheshire turns it upside down, holding it just off the ground.
Nothing falls out.
All right. Very interesting. I know that the mechanical thing to do would be to attune to it, but how that looks in game is, I don't know. So,
You cannot attune to it.
Oh, I see. Well then, I imagine this thing would make a whirlpool if I put it at the bottom of the sea.
I like how that's what both of us were thinking.
Some water elementals would be very pissed.
As Cheshire is messing with the chalice, he finds if he tips it upside down, no wine flows out of it, but there's still that ever-present scent of wine about the cup itself. If he was to lift it to his lips and take a sip, wine would flow.
Interesting. Very interesting. He takes it. I'm just imagining this giant cup chalice, just by the edges, just.
It's not this big, but yeah, it's like the bell is probably around that large.
And he takes a solid swig.
It's good wine. And yet, when he lowers it, it appears as if empty.
I am going to explore this more later. So he takes the cup back to his quarters. He puts it back in his foot chest, closes it, goes to find Etzer and the captain, and says, "Are we prepared for the evening's festivities?"
I am if you are, sir.
You're planning to take a trip to the Lord's castle? Or domain? Domicile?
I'm sure he left a few escorts to show us the way.
Would you like me to accompany you to? You had concerns about the dangers that may lie in this port city.
Yes, I would. Notably, your sense for meal preparation and display is some of the finest I have seen. Additionally, I don't know what the food and drink locally might hold, and having someone behind my back serving in the background would be very advantageous if I run into trouble.
Oh, I'm happy to get to know the local cuisine and maybe spice things up a little. I am more than happy to see what adventure the night brings.
And I assume I'm just going to stop tracking you at some point.
I think that you will have your hands full. I can take care of myself.
Hands full, ba-dum-bum. Well, if we're ready, Cheshire turns toward the exit railing and his clothes shift into his formal attire. Off we go.
Captain Ash slides down the Serpent's tail and makes landfall.
Proceeding through the streets. The town, as I mentioned, is not over your great presentation. They still talk about it. Now, an hour later. Discussions amongst people, not really debating the details of the performance, but certainly not coming to any particular agreement about specifics. It seems that everyone that watched saw something just a little bit different each time. And as they tell each other these stories, the listener, hearing from someone else's perspective, it's like watching the performance again for the first time, renewed and revivified. That feeling of respect and admiration for the crew sort of rippling through the whole city, almost an infectious tide of emotion washing over everything. As you do pass through the streets, you do notice that the guards here that wear the emblems of the City Watch are all armed, but that same absence of fear is pervasive. They mingle with the common folk like friends would. There's no concern between anyone about anything. They are at peace with one another.
Yeah, Etzer is even more suspicious now. This place is just too damn good to be true.
Cheshire, seeing and feeling no hint of fear, is on guard, even as he strides with confidence. It's just not natural to lack that emotion in its entirety.
Ash will be walking down the street, like, kind of like saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Sort of like mingling in, not pulling too far behind, but sort of joining in the revelry, being friendly as he goes past, getting swept up in it. Like, unlike the other two, not really being suspicious, just thinking, "Well, this is an interesting place to explore," but making sure not to lose them in the crowd.
At this point, I'll ask what everyone's resting resolve is.
Uh-oh.
4.
3?
3.
I have several intimacies.
Resting resolve for now.
Okay.
Joshi,
What's
did
up?
I miss something? Your resting resolve?
4.
4. Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Thought I...
Does anybody have any intimacies that would particularly inure them toward violence?
Sorry, what does that mean? Inure?
Anybody have any particularly strong emotions that would make them want to be violent?
No,
I do.
Not violent. Most of mine revolve around sadness, despair, or love. None are an angry emotion.
I have like 2 or 3.
Well, emotions can protect as well as destroy, but that's not specifically anger.
I mean,
Well, I do actually have a defining tie of smoldering rage towards Ysir, and a major principle towards building a military confederacy to challenge them.
Okay.
I have an intimacy which is I will not draw my sword in anger, which may be relevant in this case. I don't know. Talking about which, how's
Does actually.
Adori do? How's Adori doing? We haven't heard a lot from her. What's she? What's
No,
going on?
Adoray's been quite silent. You've scabbarded her away.
Oh, but she's close to me. I mean,
She can't feel you, Captain.
can you feel the love tonight? My sword shining bright. I wanna hold you tight. I've got you wrapped in my wooden scabbard. Okay, we can continue.
Wow.
Musical interlude
It's
over.
It's not so much that everyone necessarily feels presence affecting them necessarily. But with the 6 successes on an inspire action, Ash, you're already not a pacifist, but you would prefer to solve problems without the use of violence. And this city is safe. Calm, and trusting. There should be no need for you to draw your blade here. Cheshire, you've enjoyed your time with Amber as much as you have hated it. But in all of that time you've spent in the Raksha's presence, it's always been filled with this palpable sense of danger that at any moment it could turn on you and twin your mind or finally ravish you or something, bore of you and leave you in the dust, less than you were. But there's no such danger here. It's peaceful. People here trust each other. They've allowed you to just sail in off the sea and don't seem to have much care or fear for anything. And so if it came to it, could you break their trust? Could you turn to violence in a place so peaceful and ruin its landscape? You're the only one whose resolve has not been beaten by this role. Your defining intimacy of small to you see hardens your heart to the deceptive peacefulness of this town as you feel it. At any moment, Ysir could come kicking down the door and you would need to protect yourself and your fellows. You need to take weapon in hand and fight, even if the people here wouldn't want to themselves. I'd like Etza to very quickly make a reading, as in Ash and Cheshire.
My base guile is 4.
I mean, mine's 1, so I mean, you can pretty much ask me. You'll probably find out what you need to know.
8 successes.
As the three of you progress through the town, it's not that necessarily that Etzer is paranoid, but there is a caution to his movements, a consideration of any food offered, drink offered, company offered, conversation held. That as the further through town you travel, calmer and more liberal with their time and attentions that Ash and Cheshire become. You notice it. The three of you have maybe Ash wasn't quite cognizant of the idea, but you've had this discussion with Cheshire. Cheshire warned against the same unease, that feeling of strange peace and trust. And yet, here he is, walking through town, slowly lowering his guard. Looking a little less careful.
I'm going to step in front of Cheshire and enough to draw his attention, but not to really hurt him. I'm going to slap him in the face and look at him like I'm completely disappointed and say, for a man who could survive the embrace of amber glow for all this time, to already be befuddled by such a trivial effect as this is beneath you.
Since my guard was entirely lowered, I take it to the face. And I wheel back around, the stinging pain in my cheek. Does that wake me up?
No. In fact, you're galled at the idea that he's just spat over the calm and peaceful painting of this city. It's just a slap, but it wasn't necessary, was it? Was it?
What are you talking about? I mean, yes, whenever we first arrived, it was strangely peaceful, but if you just settle into it, we haven't seen anything to keep our guard up. Why would you hit me?
That does nothing, that does not raise your blood at all? That elicits no real passion in you?
Strangely, no.
Yeah, that's my point. That is very strange.
This is... Maybe it's an effect the town has. I mean, it's peaceful. I don't see anything wrong with this.
This is just because they are invisible, it does not mean chains don't exist that bind and restrain people. Does this seem natural to you? It's one thing to have an internal realization and to move past one's problem and find tranquility. There's another reason to have it enforced, to have it instilled in you against your will.
Well, if this is so strange, I mean, it's fine for me, but are we canceling plans with the Baron?
Oh, absolutely not. I wanted to get to the bottom of this.
All right. Cheshire just continues walking forward past him, red mark on his face, like nothing had happened, just completely off guard.
Etzer's not going to slap Captain Ash because he's a man with a big sword on his hip. But he will look at him and just ask Ash, what were you to do if I just went back to the ship and burned up all of your books and poetry and threw it in the sea?
Elk, am I free to respond, or does this effect influence my...
I'll point out that Cheshire and Ash aren't under any sort of supernatural compulsion to be emotionless or anything like that. But the idea of violence here in this town would be like casting feces upon the Mona Lisa.
So good
Is
thing.
the feeling is the feeling that's evoked here. This town is a precious work of art that needs to be. It's not that you're against violence completely, but certainly not here. There's no need for it here in this space. This space is calm. This space is clear of that kind of worry. Like, settle yourself down. Like, you burn my ship, I'm gonna take you out to the ship and sail away a little while and then deal with you, but not here, sort of thing. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just internalizing that. Well, it's if you went to those lengths, I'd feel like I'd misjudged you quite a bit, but nobody threatens my ship in earnesty, so if you do intend to do it harm, we will have to settle it, but not on these shores. You don't go into a temple and turn over its tables and desecrate its altar. You show respect where respect's due. I would, with that, I'd like to do a lore roll. I'm hoping Stories of the Dreaming Sea would be applicable to try and work out if I've heard of a land or a legend that's similar to what's happening here, and if it's in relation to any being or mystical place of power or any artifact like that has that flavour. So I'm sort of searching my...
I'll allow the roll.
Fantastic. Intelligence or wits? I don't even know why I'm asking that. They're both the same. So that'd be law. Does the speciality applicable, did you say?
Yeah.
Fantastic. 7 dice. Let's go, folks. Let's go. Any stunt dice?
No, you haven't described your action.
I got 3 successes.
There is not, in any legend or tale, that the well-read and wide-learned Captain Ash has ever heard that has ever seen violence on these shores. No wars, no fighting, nothing, no crime, nothing. Almost entirely devoid of interesting stories, save for what it has produced. Art, poetry, music.
Out of character, I'm thinking this is potentially a domain. Maybe?
I don't know what that is. In or out of character?
It's a place where the ley lines come together and create sort of a like a magical glen or a sacred grove,
Oh.
but they're where you build manses.
Yeah, oh, dements, but it's pronounced domain. Yeah, but yeah, I'm with you. I thought it may have been a Fey thing. That's interesting.
The Fates love them because they have trouble getting essence back in creation, but can do so there.
In which case, could I do an occult roll to work out if there is this is a magical place of power?
Do you have any particular means of discerning magical lines of essence? I mean, just having occult knowledge isn't enough.
Do I? No.
I will give you this, though. The city is very, very, very orderly.
Okay, yeah. That helps me out of character, in character. Nope. So... Are you feeling okay, Etsa?
I'm the one who's feeling fine. Both of you are concerning me.
We just don't want to fight here. That's all there is to it. If you want to fight, we can take it elsewhere.
I mean, why would we want to fight? I mean, I don't think anybody generally wants to fight each other, do we?
I don't want to fight. I just want to be able to want to fight.
Oh, but Cheshire, he does want to fight. You can feel that.
Well, for someone that doesn't want to fight, you certainly seem to have your blood boiling. All the while, I still assume all three of us are still walking in the general same direction.
Yeah. What you're feeling is his defining hatred for Ysir, actually. Sort of. That makes sense.
Yeah. I understand your very defined hatred of a certain location and people, and you've made that clear in the past. Perhaps we can ask the Baron. Maybe he'd be forthcoming.
Though I feel any violence on here would stain an otherwise peaceful and pristine history of non-aggression. In fact, I can't remember a single story of a war, a battle, or violence on these shores.
And once again, that doesn't seem even remotely strange to either of you.
Intriguing, but like I say, each place has different customs. There's a lot of mysterious places in creation. Part of the fun of creation is exploring them. If anything, I'm more intrigued than I was when we set out on this evening stroll.
I'd certainly like to be able to tap into this. Whatever it is. Any more words before we continue to his estate?
Nope, Etzer's good.
A guard meets you at the gates, opens them, and bows deeply. Master was expecting you. Please feel free to enter. Sort of notices the scabbard that Adari is stashed within. That is a beautiful piece of work. Where did you come by such a thing? If you don't mind my asking.
The dreams of a muse-kissed mind gave birth to this wood. I just had the pleasure of being that conduit.
You made this yourself?
These very hands.
I could only imagine being so skilled and so inspired. You have my thanks for even letting me lay my eyes upon it. He bows deeply once again.
What weapon is the guard equipped with?
It's a basic, like not long sword, but sword in sheath sort of thing.
If you don't mind me asking you a similar question, what do you draw inspiration from? What do you enjoy most out of life's adventure?
Alas, I was not afforded the inspiration to join the artisans, and I am of the warrior caste. I protect what we hold dear, although my skills are untested, and I am thankful for that.
Untested or untrained?
What do you mean? I have not had to bear my steel against anyone.
Not even in practice?
No, surely we have trained in the yard, clapping sticks together, learning the forms, but steel, no. Never drawn. Never needed to.
This just keeps getting more and more intriguing.
What's your name?
Well,
He puts a hand to his chest, gives you another bow. Says, my name is Elias.
Pleasure to make you acquaintance. He Ash bows his head and tips his hat. I am Captain Ash.
Yes, I've heard tale of the performance. I wish I could have seen it in person.
maybe I can assist you with that another time.
Of course. Lord Baron would be waiting. I have taken up far too much of your time already.
Not at all. You've been quite helpful. Cheshire puts his hand out to tap him on the side of the shoulder as I thank you, Pat, and moves on. If he reacts any other way than just thank you for the pat, it's going to be weird.
He has no reason to react any other way, and so he does not.
Okay. I was out of character. I was looking for something along the lines of, oh, no, 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 you're supposed to meet the Baron. I couldn't possibly sully you with my things of that nature. No. I was like, okay, now it's even weirder.
The Baron's estate is quite rich. It is... The outer facade is quite Spartan, as is most of the design through the city. That light sandstone brick. By now, the sun has set fully. It's lit only by the torches scattered through the yards and hung up by doorways and lights flickering through windows. It's open and it's spacious, and it's rich inside. Marble floorings, pillars with polished stone, carpets laid out, mats, tapestries hung from every wall. The guards here are numerous enough to be a presence without being oppressive. And as you walk further into the palace, up flights of stairs, you were shown into a large sitting room, sort of off the side to the main audience chamber where the Lord would sit and see supplicants who come to ask around. There's many a shelf here filled with books, little torches flickering in the corners, sconces, giving the place a nice, soft, wafting light. A great chandelier hanging from the ceiling, each individual candle lit.
Certainly can set the mood.
The lounges here are chases for reclining. There's no sort of backed seat. The cushions are silken. Nothing here is as exquisite as what Cheshire might have seen in Amber Glow's chambers, but certainly nears it in style and grace, if not suppleness and substance. This is the kind of wealth that Etzer would have been. Something that paled in comparison to the palanquin itself.